Tom here. This is the Nintendo Switch 2, and if you're thinking of getting one, I'd hold off until you watch this. Currently, the Nintendo Switch 2 and the Mario Kart World bundle costs $499 on Amazon, but you'll have to request an invite to be able to get one. But why? Well, scalpers. People who buy it in bulk and then sell it at a higher price for a profit. Those people. Annoying bastards, I have to say. Whatever, I digress. The Switch 2 is a great handheld console, but you can't really compare it to Steam Deck or to some other handheld consoles because it's comparing apples to oranges. The Switch 2 is a console in its own league, that's as much as I can say. That said, what can you expect with the Switch 2? Now, the Switch 2 is a powerful handheld console, being able to run Cyberpunk 2077 in a smooth 30 frames per second in most occasions. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the only game you're playing, and if you're getting a Nintendo Switch 2, I'm pretty sure it's because you're a fan of Nintendo games. Nintendo offers tons of games on their store, and they don't just offer Nintendo exclusive games. You can find tons of games that you can also find on Steam, and you can play them. There's really no problem. And you can also play Nintendo games, which I'm very sure you will if you want a Switch 2. Now, I have one little gripe about the Switch 2, and it's the fact that it's a little too portable. At least that's how I'd put it. It's a little bit too flat compared to the other handheld gaming consoles, and you don't really get the feel of a controller like the Steam Deck OLED. However, I think this is more down to preference. Other than that, the Switch 2 is incredibly well built, and it's even more premium than the Switch 1 is, and it feels much better to use overall compared to the Switch 2. The Switch 2 uses an LCD touchscreen, which actually isn't all that bad. In fact, I'd say it's even better than the Steam Deck. The Switch 2 has a 1920 by 1080 screen resolution, that's 1080p, and it can game at a maximum of 120 Hz. That's much more compared to the Steam Deck OLED. Now, the battery capacity is 5,220 mAh, which Nintendo estimates to have a battery life of around 2 to 6.5 hours. That depends on the games and usage conditions. To me, that's honestly fine, and I, having a life outside of playing games, think that this is more than enough just to spend some free time and whatnot. The Switch 2 comes with 256GB of internal storage. You can't really upgrade that, but you can expand it via a microSD express card. Now, take note of that. Please take note of that. You have to use a microSD express card, not a regular microSD, because you can only transfer photos and videos there. I'm gonna leave a link to one just for you. Now let's talk about the ports. The Switch 2 has two USB-C ports, one on the bottom and one on the top. Now the top one's mostly used for accessories, but you can charge the device using that. The bottom one's used expressly for the Switch 2 dock, but it can also be used for charging. Other ports include a 3.5mm audio out port, obviously, and the SD card slot. So, what do I think of the Switch 2? Well, if you already have a gaming PC and you want to play different games, then I honestly think the Switch 2 is well worth a try. There are a variety of Nintendo games that you won't really find on PC, and I'm sure you'll enjoy, and if that's something you're looking for, then voila, the Switch 2 is for you. You can take a look at the product through the link down below, and if you do decide to get one, make sure you request an invite first before you get an extra SD card, and if you've been approved, get an extra SD card just in case you need more space. Now, if you don't want to click links, you can just scan these QR codes instead. Anyway, thanks for watching, have an awesome day.